you're getting ready for Euros.
Indeed, yeah. I think just under 3 weeks out, I think, at this stage.
Oh,
After having done the last Euros, so it's a quick turnaround. Yeah.
you're kind of you're kind of in a different, well, maybe not in a much of a different place, but like I suppose you're kind of going at it. You're training from a different angle, obviously, with Jason at the moment. How What kind of different things did you do in the off season? Obviously, you would have had a limited enough run into the last
Mm.
comp, but you obviously got a bit of time off for this one. So, like, what's the difference in your training, or kind of maybe your approach to programming?
Yeah. It's just more like a lot more specific. Like it is pure squat, bench, and deadlift. There's very little to no variations in it. Um, and then kind of minimal, well, not minimal accessories, like probably enough accessories, but especially probably the amount I need, because I would have went overboard in that in the past where I was doing like 5 6 days of training. But yeah, for the most part, it's kind of like it's very like, especially the way I've been lifting for so long that I don't need as much. I don't need as much variations. I don't need as much kind of accessories or kind of technique work. But so between the two comps, I think it's like 13 weeks. So the way we kind of handled it after, took a few days off, just kind of, and just got back straight into it, you know, straight bit back into what we were doing before, just drop the load, drop volume, and then kind of build that back up over the last few weeks. But yeah, it's been really good. It's yeah, and it works as well, which is
Yeah, that's
which
kind of
is huge.
the key. I think
Yeah.
for like just to preface it for anyone that like doesn't know Keen or doesn't know how like Jack and Juicy he actually is, I think like you're probably a good example of there being like a ceiling on the amount of accessories or the amount of muscle that somebody needs in a weight class. And I coach Dustin DePerio as well, and like Dustin's kind of like a Filipino 22-year-old version of you. It's like
Mhm.
if he puts on like an inch on his calf or his arms, it's an extra 200 grams of wasted tissue. And like you, like I think it was a Nationals 2021 or 2022, and we were in your bathroom, and you came out shaved, and you were shredded to bit. But
Yeah, I
like
think that was 2021. Yeah, I was probably way too lean to be fair.
way,
Like,
way, but like jacked as well.
yeah,
Like I think you're probably a good example. No, you're obviously the outlier here, whereas most people probably should be doing more accessories. But there is a like if you are someone that's like at the upper end of weight class, you're probably going to get more benefit out of more specificity in your training rather
mm,
than more kind of like GPP kind of stuff or hypertrophy stuff, because like you were pretty much done in terms of the amount of muscle building you needed to do 2 or 3 years ago.
yeah. Like for the most part, like for anyone starting out, it is a case of just doing everything, doing as much as you can. But like I probably start training properly back in I'd say like 2013. So, and like most of that for the first 4 years is probably like bodybuilding work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd done enough accessories, and even when I joined abs, I continued with accessories. Like I probably trained too hard or trained too much in terms of the volume for a long time. Where like pulling it back really helped me in terms of recovery, in terms of my lifts. Where like I was probably spending a lot of excess energy and pushing a lot towards the accessories when it's like just stick to the meat and bones. If you want to get better at squatting or SPD, that's what you got to do. It's not doing all these kind of mad accessories. Well, to within reason, depending on where you're at. But yeah, it was fun though. Like couldn't be arms twice a week, little extra sessions. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
I heard you might pack in the IPF and do a WRPF street curl competition or street lifting
straight.
competition.
I never know. Like if they bring it back to powerlifting, yeah, I'd be laughing.
It makes it useful in a sense as well that like if you are at the upper end of like your muscle mass like building from
Mm,
capabilities, as well as like, you're edging on the kind of strengths as well. If you're going to eke out those like extra few percent, like there's a lot of power in just taking out those accessories. So just kind of adding to noise and kind of adding to your recovery because like not only are you gonna have to put more effort into those accessories to kind of get further muscle mass kind of improvement, but you also have to put
Yeah.
more effort into yourself, your SPD, and then you also are taking away from a lot of the recovery there. So I think that's one thing that people forget when it does come to like the accessories or even at certain points of their kind of competition preps. They don't scale back on a lot of the intensity, the volume they're doing on accessories with it, and they forget
Yeah,
that
for sure. Like,
as intensity goes up, you need more recovery. And that could be why
mm,
you don't kind of get the progress you want.
yeah, like it is like they are not too taxing, especially doing a lot of single joint movement, but it still is, somewhat taxing. I say this on it drains you slightly, and especially if you're pushing, like at a peak, you're pushing so much intensity. It's like every little bit counts. And if you're like an advanced lifter, like us three, you're looking at such minimal muscle gain over a year. It's like, you might be looking to gain like 1 or 2 pounds, maybe 3 pounds if you're lucky, like a half kilo in a year. So and the kind of work you need to put towards gaining that is the cost to benefit ratio. Whereas by throwing in obviously more squat, bench, deadlift, it can only ideally go one way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But
I
would you kind of do
classify myself as super advanced because I've been stuck in the 160s on the bench for a couple of years now.
Don't talk to me about bench. Like, I think I'm stuck in the same range for 3 years. So it's battle child, that one.
But with you kind of doing more squat and deadlift, what kind of differences are there in maybe your volume and your intensity then across the week? Because I suppose if you're squatting twice a week, has that kind of changed your kind of like the frequency of what you were squatting, or is there kind of like was there a teething process there where because you were doing more comp work you had to drop down the RP slightly to handle those heavier loads?
Yeah, like it's something we built over the last few months, where like when I started off, obviously it's quite light, but it's like it's a lot of volume in comparison to like what I was probably doing before, where I kind of surprised myself that like how much you can do and still recover and still manage. So like the weight rates up, like I have an SBD day, which is basically my main squat, main deadlift, and main bench. And then my secondary squat will be mostly volume work. So it might be singles, doubles on the main SBD day, and then it's 3s or 4s or 5s on the other day. And the weight wouldn't be far off. Like, although the Friday is the primary day, the secondary squat is nearly close to a primary day in terms of like the intensity, and the overall kind of weights being used. So but that said, like it took a while to build up that. Like when I started off, I was probably doing sets of like 200 on squat and deadlift for 4s and 5s, which is, for me in comparison or relative to my max is pretty light. But it wouldn't be too high. So we just kind of, it's a lot of straight sets where you're kind of a fixed load and you're kind of pushing that over a lot of sets, trying to maintain like a certain RP. And even with that, like kind of there is no real like top end. It's kind of just kind of pushing more at those kind of straight set weights.
So it's probably more top end exposures than you probably were used to. You're doing more volume at those relative higher intensities. What kind of
before, like I would have top set and back off, but the drop and the back off would be so big that like I probably wasn't getting too much benefit. Like it was volume, but it was the load was so light that there probably wasn't too much real kind of growth going down. Like,
yeah, no, 100%. And is there any kind of like change? Like, did kind of getting exposed to that kind of coaching change your mind on any things, or were you just like, were you open to anything? Because I suppose with it being kind of maybe a different way to what you were used to, or what you've kind of done traditionally from starting powerlifting.
Like I was completely open to it. Jason is one of the best coaches in the world. Like, so, and he coaches the best lifters in the world. So when I started with him, whatever he said, I would do. I still case that. Like, so it was different, completely different to how I trained at that point. Like even some of the weeks I'd wonder how I was going to get through let's say hitting the same weight for 5, 6, 7. But definitely changed my opinion of like there's more than one way. we know it anyway. There's more than one way to kind of get the job done. Whereas a lot of people kind of hit that, as I said, that kind of top set and back off work, but just kind of grinding and getting used to, you know, higher end volume does the job as well. So I think I started implementing it then in my own coaching a little bit more. So with people who were probably less hyper lifters, people who were like similar to me, who were like calmer lifters, who were kind of better at maintaining their kind of level of like arousal, kind of works better for them. I think for maybe those kind of hyper lifters who need to get up for each set, it probably wouldn't work as well, because like you have 6 sets too, and it's all pretty heavy. You know, you gotta burn yourself out halfway through.
No, I definitely agree with that. I think
Yeah.
even the use of top sets, like obviously with the kind of junior or academy lifters, I find straight sets to be, when I program straight sets at them, a lot of the times, like you said there, you can nearly see a bell curve in performance, or else a real sharp drop off from the first and second set, that you might see like RP 5s and 6s, or they're up in 5 and 6 RAR in the first set, and then they're down to like 1s and 2s by the end of the last. And I suppose, was that kind of something like figuring out maybe what kind of style of lifter you were? Did that play a factor in kind of the programming considerations?
Yeah, in a sense, like one of the reasons why I went with strength guys was because of their approach to training, you know, because they program that way, where it's a lot of work, but you're kind of working at the same ranges. I knew it kind of suited me better, because I'm pretty chill with how I train. I like, you know, I liked, you know, if I'd worked in that kind of the other way of doing it with top sets, high top sets, high drop or high back offs. But, you know, like let's say if you're nervous or something, or things aren't feeling well, you put your top set, you know, that's your one chance at your one chance over the week, pretty much gone. Whereas if it's straight sets, the first set doesn't go well, you can improve it the next set. You know, you can change things, you can kind of potentially look and see what you messed up on and kind of improve it that way. So yeah, in a sense, like, it's kind of why I went with them, because of the type of lifter I am. I think it kind of just made me better at that. Like, because when it came to, let's say, Europeans, I was kind of chilled throughout. Like, I was pretty much calm and kind of just cruising. You know, it was just like a Friday training day. Like,
Yeah, came out with a squat medal all the same.
yeah. It was nice. It was nice. But I think that's probably the most chill I've ever been for a competition. I think it comes down to the training, you know, how tough it was in a sense, but this training style just kind of played perfectly into competition day. You know, with those kind of the Friday where it's just SBD work and it's a lot of volume. And like even the way, you know, I time my sets, so like the bang on max 5 minutes. So it's, when it comes to like comp day, if the flight's running quick, which it can tend to be with IPF, especially the internationals, I'm ready for it. Whereas if I'm kind of, let's say before, with like top sets and something like that, if I'm kind of chilling, you can easily go 10 minutes between sets, and then just kind of deconditions you for the actual comp day.
Yeah, I think the rest time periods is probably something. You'll have 93 sub juniors all over the country now. Time in the rest period.
It's worth it. Like, it's absolutely worth it. Even like, it's something I actually picked up from like Barry Piggott, actually, back in, he was training old abs in like 2018, and he was there with a little Casio watch, benching, just like clicking at it, and I was like, what are you at? And he's like, I time my sets, and I'll try to keep it, you know, max this, because obviously you end up chatting with people, especially like, you know, in abs where there's, you know, lots of people training. It's too easy to get caught in chat. So it was something he done, I picked up on. I used to do it myself actually back in, when I was in a commercial gym before abs, but when you get into abs, you kind of just becomes a bit more chill with your training, especially like, you know, when you're training with the lads. But it's definitely something that can be easily overlooked, is just making sure you're strict with those times.
Yeah, I would be interested to see if there is any kind of difference, like, but like the same workout performed over, you know, 3 hours versus like an hour and a half, like in regards, like, I don't know, if it did like some kind of short term, so to see if there was any kind of change that happened. Like, obviously you do hear people saying it does have validity to like, take your recovery rest on it and wait until you're recovered to go into your sets. But like, there's a point of like that you almost like drop off between I prepared for my next set and now I'm almost like deconditioned to go into my next set, right? And you've probably felt
Yeah,
that if you
sometimes.
yeah, if you like you go between like I don't know, bench to a set of tricep extensions and you get caught in like a 20-minute conversation or something like that, going in to do a tricep extension, and you're like, my triceps actually warm right now, and now I'm like,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
focus is all in the face. Like, yeah, like how much of a difference does it make in terms of your muscle like stance yet? I don't know, but you definitely feel like you get more from the accessory if you go into it with a bit more kind of focus and more kind of diligence.
No, you're
Yeah.
right. I think what's kind of funny is that like within exercise science or sports science, like we have studies like to say that like longer rest periods are probably better for maximal efforts. Like we know ATP PCR is fully
Mm.
replenished, nearly fully replenished within like 4.5, 5-ish minutes. But like I do think like when we talk about performance, like you're not just an energy system, like you are made up of so much more. And so like if you're in cold gym, we know probably most of the benefits from are going to be staying warm in intra set, and then or inter set, so that like if you were in a place or if you were in a position to take like 8 or 10 minutes rest periods, but you lose concentration, you lose that arousal to kind of go in and push yourself to that higher RP. I don't know. I think there is kind of like a trade off there of like the longer you wait, you probably are looking
And
at like you're physiologically more ready for the set
mm,
out after an extra minute or two, but psychologically you might have some drop off in concentration, drop off in arousal. That's what I find anyway. Even
yeah,
without like even in the gym I'm training in here.
yeah, it's too easy to switch off between sets like that. Like your body, you might be on paper, you might need this amount of time, but the longer you leave it, the more you kind of switch off and you
Yeah.
kind of dial it out. Like even for accessories, like they say what like over 2 minutes potentially to maximize growth, but like if you spend that much time between sets, you can easily kind of go cold or just
Yeah.
kind of lose that focus. Or even when it comes to like mind muscle connection as well, it kind of helps have those shorter rest periods so you still have some sort of a pump. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, 100%.
the Arousal definitely makes a lot of sense with regards to in times between sets, because like even if you think about it in the context of what you're talking about a few minutes ago with like top sets and back offs, like one of the reasons that people get like so little or back offs, as we call it, they let that level of arousal drop down so much. Like you get overhyped for a top set, and you get it for Instagram. They're like, oh great, you got my top set for
yeah,
Instagram, and you get to your back off, like you're moving a weight that's like 10% lower, or like that should be like equivalent of or me lower, and you're moving at like the same speed as your top set, you know?
Yeah.
So like it should be faster, and like even with those weights, like maintaining some level of some decent level of arousal and trying to move that bar at maximal intent, like that will have a better carry over like long term to your strength development than just seeing it as like this is like the bridge between my top set to my next exercise.
yeah. Like it's the back offs more so where you need to be more dialed in. Like obviously top set, you need that arousal, but for back offs, if you're switching off and you're not moving the bar well, not moving it with intent, you're not going to really benefit. There's no point even doing the back offs in a sense.
I suppose that's where like I would probably say just like the interaction of personality type is quite important when kind of just being aware of a lifter at least, because like I have some lifters where they can't do a top set. If they do a top set, that's the session written off. Good luck. There's fucking pack a bag, go home. So like like you have to use ascending sets. Like there's no like they're crashed, and even any work they're probably doing afterwards is going to be fairly low, not low effort, but like relatively low quality sometimes in some cases as well. So like yeah, like you probably have to spread out the intensities a little bit better across the week. And then like Keen, obviously in your case then like where you're pretty mellow kind of guy, straight sets is probably fine. And then
Mm.
like where like where you were saying a top set didn't really suit you because you were probably maybe either a little bit, like you said, a little bit anxious, or maybe you were maybe a bit overthinking the top set, or maybe getting that arousal up didn't really suit you for that kind of style. But it's it's kind of an interesting one to be like to consider when you are kind of when you are putting the pieces of a program together, because it's even in accessory selection, I thought like you could probably say that, say, if someone, I don't know, if you're looking at someone and you're like, okay, quads are really underdeveloped here, and you're like, okay, so we're gonna do really, really concentrate the accessory volume on some quads. Like, I have nearly found that some people, if you like, you would want them to do maybe 4 sets of 10 of a leg extension at a 7, but they just can't. Like it's nearly not within them to hold themselves back in that way. And the skill of rating RP just hasn't developed yet. So you probably are better off kind of pushing it towards a higher RP, kind of lower volume approach, just because of that kind of type of person.
Well, the like mental way.
The fucking TikTok broccoli head exists.
Oh yeah, like there's more, as we said, there's more than one way to get the job done. Like, and depending on the person, like if you are more level-headed, or if you need that hype, ascending sets, fatigue singles, like there's a couple of ways to get it done. And at the end of the day, it's all just kind of about progression. Whatever way gets you to progress, whether it is the way on the top sets or the way on the straight sets, once you're kind of progressing them in some way and forcing adaptation.
So after Euros, you're looking at nationals, then worlds, or worlds and nationals? Am I saying as our says?
Probably worlds and then nationals. I'm fond of a peak, fond of a competition. Yeah, it's kind of tricky because I don't want to compete too much, but there's just too many competitions that are too important to kind of turn up on. Like it's been like, even since I started, I've been just competing one after another. I haven't had a huge gap off. I think like at some stage I've done 5 competitions, 5 in a year, and then another a few years after. I think it's like 4 in 9 months, which is like, to any lifters who come to me, I wouldn't even recommend. I'd probably say 3 in a year. Just love competing. But yeah, for me it's most likely worlds and then nationals, I'd say, and then we'll see from there. I'm just going to stay within the IPF. It isn't like those kind of the run of comps there.
Like that kind of spread of comps. How did you kind of get through it? Like, was it a bit of a grind, or was it kind of something that you were just kind of happy going from comp to comp?
So like the 5 in a year was my first year, where I'd done like 2 in 2 weeks. I then done 1, maybe 6. I was kind of like where everything was new and every comp was progressing, so it was kind of fun. And I was like uncharted territory. But the one where I was like 4 or 9 months of, I think it was like Series 7 in August. It was Worlds or Series 7 in August, yeah, Worlds in maybe September. There was Euros, there was an IDFPA comp thrown in there, and it was nationals. It wasn't really a real competition, but it was still like still there.
I remember that week.
Yeah, the last ever IDFPA champion.
Yeah, that was a bit of fucking crack. Were you like 3 or 4 weeks out for national, and I think Jay just said to you, do the IDFPA comp.
Yeah. It was.
I think you just skipped training that weekend and hit like like what you'd planned to double that week or treble that week or something on the platform.
It was basically that. Like I think it was 3 weeks out from Euros in December, and Jay was like having this comp in abs. He was trying to get people to do it. He was going to say, "Oh, you wouldn't do an IDFPA comp," but. And like, to be fair, if Jay asked me hard enough, I'd probably do something. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, we'll give it a crack. I think I like looked up the records for the FPA that I think they're not beaten. They're long gone now anyway at this stage. That competition itself didn't even make it onto Open Powerlifting. I don't think he didn't put the results up. So, unofficial. But yeah, I think I just done it was like I think it was like top singles €4. It was 285 squat and like a 290 deadlift and then just like a random bench. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun. But like the main thing to get through all those comps, they didn't all go my way. You know, there was a few that like I didn't perform well, and that's probably down to having so many so close together where it's hard to, you know, for me it's no problem getting the training in. I'm quite consistent. I'm quite disciplined in a sense where like I don't really miss training sessions. I just kind of train regardless, and it's kind of I enjoy training, so that kind of helps it. But it can be hard to get that extra level when you've got so many, and even when you're competing at one, you know, you have another in a couple of months. It's kind of it can get distracting. For those, I suppose it was just how it felt.
Yeah,
Like, I think
with the position you're in as well, though, like where you can compete at Euros, you can compete at Worlds, and obviously then you're probably obliged to compete at Nationals then to retain that number one spot.
Yeah.
Which is obviously I suppose the exciting thing for you this year at Nationals, obviously with I think Damien Nam and Toaster are obviously coming up, so you can slander the fuck out of two boys there now while we're
I wouldn't do that. The two lads
no,
I respect loads.
no, two boys are sound to be fair. But
Yeah.
so like
I was hoping to get some like reels made out of like, you know, you calling her out.
Yeah. I heard you not plug out your USB stick when you disconnected. That kind of stuff.
yeah, something like that.
Heard you don't know what a tracker mortgage is, Damien. Nah. There's your reel. No, the two lads. Like I don't think Toaster would be doing it. But
Air Toasters in the room.
I think he's off to another country. But like even this year, it's such a gap between the last nationals where it was February to November, nearly 2 years. So it's like obviously there's a lot of strong lads, but then there's lads coming up as well. So it's kind of you don't know what you'll get. But we'll see. I think at that stage it'll be. I don't know, it'll be fairly rough coming off the back of the world.
Is there anything you do differently when it does come to like managing your recovery then for those like multiple peaks, or like how do you go about like sussing for life outside of the gym so you are able to recover?
To be fair, I don't really change much around that time. Like even when I'm on a peak, I don't really change too much. I try to keep stress low, which is kind of easy because I'm pretty chill. And then just try to sleep as well as I can. But like that's to be fair, when you're like a natty athlete, that's all you have: food, stress, and sleep. So like I eat plenty. Like I kind of eat mostly over 4,000 calories, you know, across the year. So I'm eating a lot and good quality for the most part. And then try and just kind of sleep really, to be honest. But there's not really special I do outside of that. I don't do recovery rooms. I don't really do cupping or any of this mad stuff. I just kind of cover the basics and cover them well, or as much as I can.
Good healthy growth.
Yeah. Don't forget the balls, like.
But I suppose that's kind of where I kind of wanted to talk then maybe about like, you know, you're obviously with Jane for your nutrition, so you were kind of freestyling it for a while, got fairly shredded. I think there was one nationals comp that like you were trying to get under 93, but I think you ended up weighing in at like 87 or.
There was one, I think.
There's one, absolutely fucking annihilated.
There was that series. Yeah, I think I done. I cut 5 kilos with that, but it was like a 24-hour weight cut. So
you were fucking, you were done.
Like it was one of the funnest ones we had because there was so many lads doing it. It was peak abs. You had like it was like summer training, topless training. There was Jer, Connor, Ben. There was pretty much all lads were doing it. So it was It was fun, but there was the nationals after that where I think I was on the phone to you the night before, and it was like, here, lad, I was eating, loads coming up to it, and I think I even had like 2 pastries the day before, and I was like 90 kilos that night,
Yeah.
sort of crammed food in. Yeah, but now I do sit a little bit heavier, so so like it makes sense to sit heavier, especially for me to try to be as competitive as I can internationally. If I'm as heavy as I can be, and I'm not cutting too hard, I gotta kind of get more out of it ideally. Whereas if I'm sitting 89 kilos, 90, and walking around with that, yeah, may as well be an 83 at that weight, like.
Yeah. And so I suppose body weight, are you doing anything different, kind of like letting your body weight drift up and just doing kind of like a small weight cut into the comp, or are you just kind of raw dogging it, just showing up on the day? Like?
The same at the moment. To fair, each combo the last few competitions I kind of tried to sit heavier coming up to it. I've been with Jay, as I said, for I say 2 years. I get on well with Jane. She's good at what she does. It works, and the cuts tend to go really well. So like I think for the last one I was sitting 95-ish, 95 and a half, and cut down from there. I try not to do too much. Like what I do mostly is I drop carbs a little bit, I drop a little bit of fiber, drop a little bit of salt, and that kind of generally does me. I didn't water load for the last one. I didn't kind of do anything too mad. So I might do a little bit more as we go along. Like, I hear stories of like some of the other lads, like, they're cutting down from 98 kilos to get to 93. I don't think I wouldn't follow his approach though. I think he starved himself for a day before, but
he's definitely up in like 110 kilos or something. He was in the gym there last week, and he just looked like a brick shithouse with a powerlifting motivation t-shirt with like logo on the back of it. Like, it was scandalous. Like,
yeah,
it's like
he is pretty huge at the moment. Like he's I think he's over 100. Like he's
he had
in the
like
mornings he's over 100. But he's planning on making his way down. So
unless he has the bone mineral density of a pigeon or something, and there's just no like there's nothing there.
it's just you just gotta stop eating and start vaping. That's the key to cutting.
The snus and the nicotine. That's
yeah. Nicotine curbs the hunger.
Oh, I couldn't imagine anything worse. It's I suppose it is one of the funny things when you do go to a powerlifting camp and you're looking at like lads that are absolutely shredded. I don't know, like I remember going to an IPO camp years and years and years ago, and I saw one, like I just assumed everyone was just like healthy. And then I saw a lad that was competing, really strong fella, smoking a fag outside, and I was like, what the fuck? And then like you go, like I remember going to like IPF comps and like when they were on in abs, and then you would see loads of people smoking rollies, smoking fags outside, and I was just like absolutely shocked by that behavior.
Yeah.
Now obviously you don't blink at it now, but I just assumed everyone, like I assumed like powerlifting was like athletics nearly, that like everyone was just nearly a hypochondriac about their health, and
yeah.
Man, sure. I remember the PCA last year, the PCA bodybuilding show, and like I went inside the venue, and there's loads of people who were just competing, just smoking fag, and it's like, do you not notice the diameter and muscle?
Yeah. These lads who were on stage, like, and they were just fucking hoovering the roadies, like
steroids counteract nicotine.
Something there. I mean, everybody needs their voice.
Yeah, I'd say, to be fair though, like if you were dieting hard, you probably will get some some little bit of relief off of nicotine or some suppressant effect off it. Like, I think it's more so if you've a BMI up in the high 30s or 40s, and then you're smoking fags on top of it. I suppose that's maybe where you're potentially running into issues.
You run trouble. I suppose we're not too aligned in that aerobic capacity. You wouldn't get away with that in other sports. We're just
definitely not. There has to be, like, eventually there will be like a Georgie Best of Irish powerlifting, where you'll just have like a playboy, alcoholic, drug taking, smoking kind of character that'll just be phenomenal
Yeah.
as well. Well, I think we're a couple of years off that jet. Yeah,
Yeah, man. Everyone knows the upcoming juniors, like,
yeah. I don't know. Yeah,
there's a
there's a
few
few
recordings.
kids. Yeah, there's a few down here now, right? That like I'm like could go either way.
Yeah. I mean, well, that, you know, the golfer who, like, you probably know him, he's like old, he smokes as well, like, he comes in
Oh,
drinking,
Johnny
like,
Daly,
yeah.
yeah.
Could have been you, Lawrence.
It could still easily be me, to be fair.
Yeah.
Would I suppose the other thing I kind of want to talk to you about then, obviously with the USAPL comps coming up, and how I suppose just obviously you're going to stay competing in the IPF for the foreseeable. You and I have kind of spoken about it as well, but what way do you kind of see that change, maybe changing the landscape of powerlifting, or do you see it kind of causing any change at all?
Within, like, Ireland or within, like,
Just
internationals?
yeah, I suppose within our
Like, within Ireland, I think it'll only benefit Ireland. Like, there is a demand for more comps. So, like, the more competitions, the better. Especially if they're cool. You know, if they're big fancy venue. I think it will benefit powerlifting as a whole. It'll benefit the RHBF as a whole. If you have more competitions on, you're gonna have more people in. If they're more interesting, people are gonna stick around as well. You know, I've seen it over the last, like, 5 years. People come to do a competition or two, and then they're gone. Especially if USAPL are trying to up their game, it's just going to push the IPF to do the same as well. You know, you see it at Christmas Clash. It was same venue as Nationals, but it was just so much better. The platform was better. Like, the lighting was better. Boardroom was better. So, like, by having, to be fair, the IPF are always trying to up their game as well. They're always trying to improve things in that sense. But I think it'll be cool. Like, it'll be good for the young lads who want a fun comp that's, like, similar to abs. That's not, you know, too that still has that element of kind of crack to it. Like, but for myself, I probably can't see myself competing in it unless obviously there's, like, some sort of no Arsenal 14 or something along those lines. Yeah, I think it'll be fun. Like, you know, it's on this weekend as well. We'll see how it goes. But the lads run it. Obviously, they're veterans in the game. They know what they're doing. They know what to set up comps. So I'm sure it'll be pretty fucking sick. Like,
I think with it being at the international level of, like, you are, like, it just doesn't really make much sense to, like, switch to a different federation where, like, well, at the moment now in Ireland, there's got to be less competition. Like, I know, like, there's obviously going to be a lot of lifters like, going over to USAPL, but I think even how dominant the IPF has been in Ireland, and that's where historically the best of the drug tested lifters have lifted, they still want the prestige of, like, the national champion or podium at national, or, like, being within the top 7, like, that's still going to be there. And if somebody's within that crowd, but perhaps I don't think they're going to switch over to USAPL. Yeah, I definitely do agree with you. Like, there's, like, a lot of benefit to having more competitions and more avenue for people to compete, because if you're doing, like, a first ever competition and you are doing, like, a regional meet for an IPF, and, you know, you're competing against somebody who is, you know, trying to get that top 7 qualification, and maybe there's a few, and then you're first ever like weight class competition. No matter how good you're always going to compare yourself to who you podiumed or who you were relative to, like, the class. You know, nobody wants to come last, and so you're probably going to go to maybe a federation that doesn't have as much as depth to the weight classes potentially. I know there is a lot of, like, strong lifters going to USAPL now, so not knocking anybody, but, you know, there's going to be probably at nationals. I guess you probably have to make the leap to the other federation, right?
Yeah, I pretty agree. Like, like, from speaking to people, to other internationals, as far as I know, there's no real, you know, very few of the, like, big lifters are moving over, and it makes sense. Like, it's at the moment all the best lifters in the IRHBF. You know, you have nationals, you have the best lifters there, so it would take a lot to kind of drive you over to a different federation, to, unless you didn't want the competition, unless you didn't want to compete against the best, if you want to just kind of go in and potentially win your weight class, and I'm sure it'll grow more. You know, but at the moment it doesn't have that depth, as you're saying, like the way the Irish PF has, which has been around for you know, a good few years now at this stage. But yeah, you're right in the sense where, like, even if people just go in for the first comp, and you know, at the end of the day, for your first comp, you just want to come, you know, whatever you hit is a PB. Basically, it's a platform PB, but or competition PB. But you're still going to compare yourself to who won it or who was best in your weight class in the top three. You know, I think my first one, I think Arthur Lynch was doing it. He was like the 93 champion. He had Screamer Manual, and you had like there's a few other people, and I was like Ian Benson done as well. I was like, fuck, I wanna be like up there, like whereas like I still have fun. It's great crack, but yeah, it's this it'll benefit domestic, but like in terms of international, I don't think it'll make too much of a difference. Like they haven't got that. They are obviously developing like the Euro Tour and the World Cup, but you know, I think it'll take a little bit of time before that's well established and has that kind of competition that the Irish PF has, or even the IPF has.
Yeah, I think you're right. Where I suppose in nationally, I think I was kind of in two minds originally about it, because I think in Ireland we've already a limited pool of powerlifters. We already have a limited pool of volunteers. I mean, like, not to call out the entirety of the powerlifting community, but if you go to any powerlifting competition, you will probably see the same heads reffing, spotting and loading in the warm-up. It's the same people at every competition, and then you just have a handful of people, or not a handful of people, but majority of people that just don't, unfortunately, in any of those things. So I kind of did originally have the fear that is a USAPL comp going to further dilute the ability of kind of like not promoters, but even federations just to run comps. I looked at the IPF comp schedule then as well this year, and obviously the IPF have no competitions in Dublin. The vast majority of powerlifters are in Dublin. And even for me as a coach, it's such a fucking inconvenience that I think out of the 13 IPF competitions, I think 7 of them or 8 of them are on in Cork and Belfast. Like, out of 8 out of 13 are like a 2.5 or 3 hour drive away. So like, even for me as a coach, I'm going to be like, do a comp that's close, please. I like it that I think there's an IPF comp in Chaos in Kildare, and like that's kind of the closest to home. So that would, like, those are my original reservations. I've now completely gone back on that, and I think I think you said it fairly well at the start, Keane, where it's kind of like a rising tide lifts all boats. I do think the Christmas qualifier, definitely, I think I totally agree with you. The IPF definitely improved their, like, they had gotten a Lico rack, kind of really improved or just from the live stream anyway, it looked like they really improved their production qualities. They brought it up to I'm really intrigued what the USAPL platform looks like, because I feel like I feel I feel like Jay, Ian and Gar are just going to try and one up, because these, like, that's what these lads are like they're hyper competitive kind of lads. They're just going to try best whatever it is, and that's like, I think that's kind of like, do you know that kind of phrase of like, you don't realize you're in the good times until you're in the bad until you're in the bad times. You can look back on the good times. I do feel like we're really catching an upward slope with an upward trend. Like, we're rising. We're on a rising trend in powerlifting at the moment. Like we're kind of in the golden age, I think, without even realizing it. Even with the series, like Shane there just before the call was like, he was in a gym in Canada, and the strongest guy in the gym is coming all the way over to Dublin to compete. Now he's moving to another part of the world, and the guy who owns the gym is coming to Dublin to compete. So yeah, I think that was a really long-winded tangent, but I think having more comps is a net positive. Definitely is, like, and I'm sure 2V see it as well. Like when you're like, there's new people coming in and they're like, oh, should I compete? And they're like, oh, there's a competition on in like 5 weeks. There's still
Mm.
places. Like nearly a year ago, every comp sold out immediately, and you couldn't get tickets for anything. Ab Series, IPF, IPO, fucking GP, didn't matter what the fuck it was. You couldn't get spots in a powerlifting competition. So I think even like with the IPF in a couple of weeks in one of their comps, like the
It's
fact that
Belfast. Oh no, Cork in May, or Cork in
yeah,
March. Yeah.
like it didn't sell out, and I
Mm.
actually think that's a good thing. It like where people are like, oh, that's the IPF fucked down. It's like, no, it just means that like you don't have to know 5 months before the competition
Yeah.
that you want to compete, and I think that's actually a net positive as well, that you have the option of jumping into a comp and not being on a fucking wait list.
Yeah, you don't have to get up at like 8:30 to be ready at 9 is why I think of like when I started off, you have a few weeks to think about whether you wanted to get in or not into a competition. Like it'd be open for a while. Whereas like the last 2 years, even all the ad series is like if you're not there at 9, you sell out, and even some people at 9 wouldn't even get it. Like, so having the extra option, more dates, just works better for people's schedules. Like, in that sense. But I'd say there will be competition between the two, like trying to. But it can only benefit it, like if lads, the lads in USAPL are really trying to push their experience. The IPA, RSPF and probably just kind of kick back. You did see it with the Christmas Clash. There was like the goodie bags as well, with like the SPD T-shirt, the socks and stuff. The few bob, like it's a nice little piece going to a competition and getting a T-shirt, socks, bag of jellies, this little thing like that. Just makes it a little bit better. Like, the only thing, the downside to it is just that divide of like, people like a USAPL or not, are you going with them? Like, it's kind of, it's annoying that there is a divide. Like before with like, there's always been federations, drug test federations there. You had the FPA, the FPF, the AIPO, and then IPF. Yeah. So like there was 4 before that, and there could have been more in the past. And because you could just compete in one, jump into the other, there was no divide, But now, it's there is that little kind of like, who you going with kind of thing. Like, but I think for the majority of lifters, it's not going to affect them too much, especially if you're not internationally, you're not competing at that level. You could probably go between the two, and it'll generally be fine. IPF probably won't go hard at you. It's hard to know. It's all uncharted, but
if you're nationally ranked 54th, you probably don't have to worry about Article 14, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is hard to know though. Like, obviously,
you never know. 54 in a year, like training, you go to growing pace, so don't get ours. Beginner games and all that. I suppose I don't know, the federation thing is, it's kind of annoying in a sense because of the identity that people create for themselves around federations. They're like, oh, IPF lifters are like, boring or something like that. I don't say it. And it's like, you made the same kind of assumptions about like untested lifters and stuff like that. Like, well, there is going to be like stereotypes and stuff. I'll make it in part of your fucking personality is like, honestly, like, tiniest thing you can do. Like, it's fucking better. You get into the gym because you like lifting weights, and all of a sudden now you're just like putting that USAPL and if you're in your bio and stuff like that.
It's not that complicated. Like, it's for most people it's a hobby. So just live and fucking enjoy. Like, don't let it consume you. Don't be Cian Madden USAPL, whatever it is.
You heard it here first. Cian Madden's going to USAPL. No, I do think that's where like the sport, like powerlifting as a sport, is very weird. And I was trying to explain this to someone in the office there the other day, that like powerlifting is nearly a sport of like 3 sports without us kind of realizing it, because like you have in like with Gaelic football and hurling, you have the GA, you've one unifying federation. Largely, even in boxing, with the amount of federations, the rules and how the the judging is performed for the most part doesn't change across the federations. You have like soccer or football, depending on what your forte is there. But we'll just say soccer. But you have one federation, you have FIFA, and then you have this fucking can of worms of powerlifting, where you have like simultaneously you have some federations that are like, drugs are fine, we will never drug test you, and then you have other federations that are, drugs are hard no. So then simultaneously within those two, you also have like, or within the untested sphere, then again you have multiply or equipped lifting then as well, which is a completely different beast altogether again. And like these three worlds somehow simultaneously coexist, with very little people going from, or very little cross contamination from people that are involved in all three. That's why I think it's really fun, because I was looking at like there's a multiply comp on in Ireland for anyone doesn't know like the Irish Pro, and like I've been involved in powerlifting quite a number of years, would be pretty much a fan of the sport. I would watch the WPO as soon as I'd watch the WPO finals, as soon as I'd watch IPF Worlds, and I didn't know a single name on, or maybe one or two names on the multiply kind of like roster for that comp. And that's where I think, like you said it there, which is like people will identify with a federation, but I think, I don't know, is it just like the people that get into powerlifting are really, really broken and don't know who they are or what, have no identity, but like to come in and be like, I'm a multiply lifter, or I'm an IPF lifter. I do think it's wild that, like, I was trying to explain this kind of weird sport to someone, and they were like, how is that working? That like you've federations that will allow this set of rules or this set of conditions, and then you throw a deadlift bar into the fucking mix, and that's a whole other can of worms.
They even try to explain like what wraps are to someone who's not a powerlifter or not even in the gym. It's like, yeah, it's tricky as is. Like sleeves, even like for someone outside of powerlifting, you reckon like sleeves are like, oh, they're an A, they're gonna help you, but like,
Yeah,
you know, then you've wraps, which absolutely do. But yeah, for something so simple, for three movements, there's a whole lot of mess going on within it. Like, and something I was chatting about some the other day as well. It's like they were saying about how, I think it was like one of the lads didn't want to compete, stopped lifting a little bit, and just kind of got into the whole of like powerlifting became their whole identity, and it is something. It's such a simple sport, so easy for it to become your whole life. Obviously, if you're coaching, it's a different story, but like I think it's different to like a field sport where you have that element of chaos. There's no predictability in it. Whereas like squat, bench, deadlift, you can look back, you watch your videos or video yourself, look back at it, look at other people lifting on Instagram. It's too easy to like consume you to the point where it's negative in that sense. But you don't get that in other sports. So you don't get that in like playing rugby, because it's, you know, it's not that unpredictability within rugby or like whatever sport it is.
no, you're right. I think what's obviously very different about powerlifting, and we were talking to Stu Stewart from Kodiak Barbell there last week, and like there is no professional pathway in powerlifting. Like you've been best 93 in the country for the last 3 years?
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years, and you've made €0 out of competing, and I think this is like
spent a lot of money competing.
Yeah, you just it's a pay to play sport, rather anyone like to acknowledge that or not. And like, unless you're, I think it's a bit of a, not a bit of a trap, but I think being a good powerlifter can be a bit of a trap, I think, for some young athletes, where in other sports, if you're the elite, there's a clear development pathway to professionalism, to the upper echelons of your sport. Whereas in powerlifting, it's nearly taken that anything that's like working a 9 to 5 is going to detract from your powerlifting. That once you finish school, if you're not an online coach or you're in some way working as an influencer, you're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to powerlift anymore. And I think where for a lot of people that get seriously into powerlifting, I think that burnout, the interaction between becoming, what am I trying to say, to become successful in your sport, it's nearly, or in the sport of powerlifting, it's nearly accepted that you have to become this unidimensional meme where you coach, you powerlift, you socialize in the gym. And like, I think probably we've all done it at some stage where you're your whole life, like you're training with the boys, you socialize with the boys, you fucking, you know, there isn't a whole pile outside that. But I think um even for like low level, or like low level but like relatively low level, like not national, like top 5, I think a lot of people do kind of lean into the tribalism and the sense of community that people get from powerlifting.
It is just too easy to get sucked into, like, in that sense, where like I would become a coach. You know, you go to powerlifting, it's very easy to kind of click with people who are like-minded. You know, people who they're kind of. It's what's good about powerlifting as well. Like, you know, when you're training with powerlifters, they're all like-minded. They're all kind of really potentially driven and would do anything to better themselves, and will do anything to kind of improve or, you know, push their total up for the most part. Like, so by going all in on powerlifting, it's nearly a trick to like to help boost your numbers, boost your lifts, and boost your total. Like, that's something we discussed before, actually, Lawrence, where we were like the busier you are with stuff outside of powerlifting, generally the better it goes. So you have that whereas like you're not always thinking about it. It's not always there, you know. Whereas when you get into the gym, you lift, you train. That's when you switch on, you think about powerlifting. Whereas outside of that, it's everything else, life, it's work, friends, whatever. There's that contrast where like a lot of people think you need to be all in on it, but it's probably the opposite if you want to be better and if you want to be in it long term as well. If you want to enjoy it, not burn out, progress as much as possible, you need that time away from it. You need that kind of like the contrast of like people who have know nothing about powerlifting, where like most of the day we're not thinking about it, you're not talking about it. Where it's not all of what you do or what you are.
Yeah, and I think you're probably a really good example, even for me, watching you like over the last fucking year or so since you've started kind of working outside of powerlifting then as well. Like obviously you're like for anyone who doesn't know Cian, if you ever want a recommendation on a coffee place, if you're anywhere in the world, and you're looking for a recommendation on a coffee place, he's your guy to hit up. But like it's something I like. I know it sounds funny, but like you loved being a barista, you love making coffee, and you're doing that as well. And I think that's kind of where having a love outside of powerlifting, that like if powerlifting was taken away from you in the morning, be like, annoying, like whatever, but like you've so much more going on outside of this one thing that you do for a couple of hours a week. And like your training is the best it's been, I think, probably because you've been able to take a step back.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think when I was fully like coaching it, PTing, and just constantly in the gym, like even like at home, you know, looking at videos, watching my own videos, it probably hurt my training more than anything else, because it was too much. Whereas like having that little switch off it's pretty nice, you know, having other things that you can enjoy, whatever it is, like if it's coffee, it's I don't know, whatever you're into, like as long as it's not another sport, you gotta be careful that, like, you know, like when I started, I still had that rugby side of me still going, like, so, and that didn't go well. Depends on the sport, but yeah. failing squats because you come in half battered from a match, man. It's not a fun time.
I think jiu-jitsu, BJJ is probably another one where like being a hybrid athlete, I think from what I've seen or like coaching people, is very doable. like, and like me and Shane have said it loads of times on here, that like, if you're willing to accept trade-offs in either direction, both directions, unless you're extremely genetically talented or you've been doing both for really, really long times, you're probably going to see some trade-off. But like, for you at your level, it's justifiable that you only have one sport or maybe one hobby outside of what you're doing. Like, if you sent me a text and you were like, "Oh no, I'm going to give this junior C football and hurling a go there now," you would probably, like, I would like probably be stunned. But,
Yeah.
but like, for the most part, like if you're just like going in, you're probably sub 450 dots or 440 dots. You're probably all right to go for a run, enjoy a game of five aside. Probably don't need to stress too much about it.
Well, it's just a run in general. You know, if you want to live for a long time, go run. That's my hot take.
People give out all the time with deadlifts like making your back explode, when running will make your knees explode. So, you know, stay away from that.
If you like having knees, if you like having hips, don't run.
Yeah, I say that as my knees are sore when I'm squatting.
Well, that's the knee wraps. You know, that's your reason why.
I think I could have run maybe for a couple of meters, maybe a week or two ago. But what I was going to say was like, I think some people forget that like we get into powerlifting because we enjoy lifting, like we like having like it's fun for us, and then when you get into like the competing side, you like overemphasize the competing and the competition side of things, right? Obviously, it's wonderful if you do have maybe, again, you're vying for a pole place, or you are within like, you know, a certain percentage of like a milestone, or like, you know, have a rivalry with like a friend or something like that that you want to compete against. But the moment it turns into like you're thinking about it, like stressing about it outside of the gym, like a lot, like, you know, you're going to bed at night, you're thinking about your fucking top set like the next day, like. And like it can become a bit too much. I've been there myself as well, like stressing about these kind of small things, and they definitely were times when I was enjoying my training more. Like, yeah, the busier you are, the more kind of focus you have in other aspects, the more you can actually just like turn off and be like, oh, actually I like this thing, like this is a good way for me to reduce stress. It's a good way for me to kind of enjoy getting the pump. But yeah, it can really become like exhausting, you know. And one thing you really notice with people who compete at a high level in powerlifting and bodybuilding, and people who do really fucking well, they are some of the most chill people that you'll ever meet. Like, like a lot of, especially if you see this with bodybuilders. So obviously there is like they're neurotic bodybuilding crowd, but a lot of bodybuilders are very chill. You know, when it comes up to the kind of upper end of things. And that surely has some benefit even in regards to how you recover, right? Because if you're always like high strung up here, like even after training sessions, that's not going to have you in that like parasympathetic state, which is going to be more facilitative towards recovery.
Yeah,
I
for sure.
think you're dead right. I think even for me, like in the 2 years of like in like hip injury, like I absolutely like never lost the graw for training, and it's definitely only in the last like couple of weeks that I'm able to like squat and deadlift. I'm like, I fucking love this, and it's like it's kind of like, yeah, I'm like, oh, I'm like, squats you, but like it sounds hilarious, like it sounds hilarious, but like, yeah, it's only when you're not able to do the thing you actually really, really love, that like when I returned back to it, I was bouncing off the fucking walls for a couple of weeks, just being able to train and like to be able to train hard again, like to be able to do like a set of Bulgarian. I think I did a set of Bulgarians there 3 weeks ago, and I'd say the DOM's only settled in the last 24 hours. But like,
punching that hip now, yeah.
absolutely annihilating it. Just probably make sure I have a bilateral fracture now rather than unilateral. But yeah, but like it was, you were in the gym. Did I send you a video there, Cian, a couple of weeks ago?
Of
I don't think it was
your
a deadlifter.
deadlifts, is it?
Yeah.
You
But I
show you
was,
show bits to me. I think I was in
I
one
think,
evening and you're like, look at this
yeah,
set. How I done?
yeah,
It's like, I
yeah.
think it's the most you've done in like what, like over a year or something. But
I was just, I was just fucking ecstatic. But like, it is that kind of. It's one of the things I know. Like, if you've been involved in sports outside of powerlifting, bodybuilding, like you do kind of see at the higher levels where obviously, like we were saying there earlier, like there's a professional element to it. Like people are paid to play, whereas like we pay to play, and like it really has to be, it really has to be your love of the sport, and you really have to love doing it to get good. Like for like if you're looking at like professional rugby players, professional soccer players, like they're getting paid to play more or less, and like for them, they can maybe fall out of love with the sport, but obviously if you're playing to a high level, it's a pretty lucrative area to be involved in if you're getting paid a couple of grand a week to kick a ball, more or less. But in powerlifting, like I mean, like you could win outside of going to Sheffield and setting world records. You're like it's zero financial gain be
yeah,
made out of.
unless you're on, or unless you compete in Ab Series either, and you're fucking shit strong, 0.01%, and you're winning a couple of grand, like it's gonna cost a lot of money, and it's one of those sports, as you said, you need to have love of it. Like if you're gonna do it and do the same thing every session, you're going in, you're fucking squatting, you're benching, like it's compared to like other training, even like bodybuilding training, like it's not as exciting. In a sense, like it is exciting, like when you're in it and you're doing it, and you know you're pushing heavy weight. That is fun, like, but you know, from the outset, you gotta love it. You gotta enjoy the monotonous, boring training. That won't always be enjoyable. You know, like I think I heard I think Olympia he said before, it's like the rule of 1/3, where like a third of the time you're gonna love it, a third of the time it's gonna be all right, and the other third you're gonna hate it. But it's like once within that balance, it's okay. But if it's like too much of one, something's up. Like so,
Yeah.
yeah. If you're doing it, the bank account will know about it anyway. Like,
Keen's the link to Keen's GoFundMe. If anyone's listening, they want to set a GoFundMe up for Keen to go to Worlds, you're more than welcome. Or else to get Shane a proper pair of knee wraps.
just pay someone to wrap Shane's knees.
He's in is it Titan? Is it the signature goals you're in?
Yeah.
Oh lads, they are rough wraps. They're fucking but what's some fucking balls on you like Bengali tigers. There's fucking
They're just the ones that John recommended me.
oh, they're so like I used them for prep once and I'd stop using them, and I've used the Lillibridge, the Pioneer Lillibridge wraps are probably my favorite wrap. But like I've used the Cerberus, the Titan signature goals are way harder than the Cerberus Extreme wraps or the Mark Bell gangster wraps. Like they're fucking night and day. I don't know how the fuck you're using them.
Well,
was it as rough as the Pioneer? Was the Pioneer Anthems you wrapped me in for, Lawrence?
Yeah, I think remember I was wrapping you. I think I bought them off Jesse Moore after Jesse bought them, and I think I bought them off Jesse, and Jesse was like, there is no way you're going to be able to use them, and he was absolutely right. I wasn't like they were like bullets. But I think I wrapped you in them, Keen, and you lost all blood flow to your.
I wasn't even squatting. I bought a pair because I was meant to do like the Apps Pro, and I was like 2022 or something.
Oh, you were, yeah.
Yeah, so I bought a pair, used them once. I used them twice. You wrapped me one night, I think it was in the gaff, and then I came in after nationals and Connor wrapped me in my squad of 300, and then since then it's just been sitting on my my wardrobe, yeah, just waiting to be called for. But yeah, like wrapping's different, regular, like especially if you're self wrapping like yourself, Shane. I tried it before the self wrapping. It's you do it you wrap a leg, you wrap the second, and then you're just gassed before your squats, even before you've done the bar. Like,
To be fair, with your little buttery hands, there's fucking no way you'd be able to get a good tight
I'll be
revolution.
tearing calluses as I'm wrapping my
Ah,
legs.
you fucking are you still using the O'Keefe's medicated cream?
I am, yeah. That's still in the mix. Like,
We're using that as well. I'm using that as
yeah,
well.
Are
I
you?
have a pretty good hand care routine there. Like, I know you're in on the hand care game as well, there, Shane.
Yeah. It's did you get that from Jet How Strong, did you?
No, I got it. I got it years ago. I used to use Lush hand cream, and so I'm a fancy boy. Gotta have that good natural ingredients. I was away somewhere, and I know hand cream, so I just bought it in a pharmacy, and it's lasted me like 2 years, and it's solid hand cream. But yeah, I've had my fair dose of hand creams where, like, I think there was a period where I think I was only new to lifting, and I was like, I think it was around like within my first few months, and I heard hand cream soften the hands, so like this the game changer, no more rough hands, hand cream, and like I was creaming every single day, twice a day. I competed on I think I competed at competitions, creamed in between lifts, and then I was like, oh, this is it, this is the game changer, lads. It gets to deadlift, and I think I like warming up, pull 170, I tear like two calluses off. At 170, hit 220, hands like three calluses gone. Like, yeah. So moderation. Like, that's a
Yeah.
little
Yeah,
goes a
so
long way.
Shane, yeah, you're in the signature goals, but Keen, any fear you'd return to some raps, no?
I'd love to more so in terms of the weight. I'd love to like fucking squat something big and juicy in wraps, but like the effort it took. I got like to be fair, I was lucky I had Connor Kiernan rapping me every single week for like 12 weeks for when I done Series 7, but it's just a pain. Like, I'd come home after those sessions and I'd be fucked. I'd be rolled off for the day. Like,
Yeah,
I'd sleep for like 4 hours after a rap session.
yeah, 100%.
They took a lot out of me. And it was a pain in the arse as well. It did benefit, get to lift more weight, but I don't know. Never say never, but for the moment, it's just sleeves for me, baby. Sleeves
No,
all day.
I'd love to see you in a rap comp again. I suppose that's kind of where like Article 14 kind of fucks the likes of you, where you obviously have a really good a really good rap squat
Hmm.
as well, and like you can pull on a deadlift bar. So like for you, like you would obviously benefit from the cheater condition, but I suppose that's kind of what's unique about abs as well, is that it kind of gives you kind of a backdoor into playing on those bad boys.
Yeah, it's like the best of both worlds. You still get your power bar, you still get your rack. You get walking out, but you just get the chaos of racks and maybe a deadlift bar, maybe a squat bar. Um, I mean, it's cool, like, jumping between the two. I think I've done two rap meets, and although they took a lot out of me, it was fucking great fun. And it was sick. It was sick squatting. I think, like, obviously the first time I squatted 300 was in wraps. Tastes better in sleeves, but it was nice to do it in wraps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I,
think so. Yeah,
I, so the first time I used wraps was 2021. I think it was for like one of the ab series, but I only decided like 3 weeks out that I was like, fuck it, I'll try wraps. I remember like spotting on the rock with Shakes, Ben, and a few other people here. I think Eamon could have been competing at that one as well. He was like ab series 6 or something like that. And like he was getting so annoyed at me because like I didn't know how to use the wraps, and he's like he's full on it then. He had no patience for me at the time, but I got on
Mm.
terribly when I was obviously because like 3 weeks to learn how to use wraps, right? It was terrible in. So now it's the first, yes, and it's the first time I've really used wraps since then, and it feels like a different vest completely, because I'm using not only the wraps but I'm using a mono as well, and just
Mm.
dropping. So like you do a lot of training blocks, you get really used to your usual spot. The heavy setup underneath the bar, your unwrap, your kind of walk out, your brace, and then it's just complete your moves all together. And then you're also thinking about okay, now when I actually get to the bottom of the hole, my knees are about to get, they're gonna start taking it, like, and even
Yeah.
another thing I've been noticing is like your perception of depth and how much that is changing. You're so used to a lot of so used to hamstring calves and that contact. You're like, okay, if you hit depth, and you feel that, like, with just the wrap one smoke, you're like, look at the video, like, geez, Christ, and quarter squat of that, like, um, yeah, it is definitely a skill. I was like, I think this weekend it's like, it's funny when you see people just say outright that rap squatting is easier. Like, yeah, a lot of kilos hear this for sure if you learn how to use them, but still like a skill that you do need to get used to. And need time to kind of develop that,
Yeah, and
right?
it's so different to sleeve squatting. Like not anyone can just throw on a pair of wraps on and squat more weight, and it takes time in them, and it takes a lot of training to kind of get used. If you go from wraps back to sleeves, your squat feels terrible for a while.
Uh,
You feel them with back off. If you do like top sets of wraps, you're backing off in sleeves. It's like your legs feel awful, and then everything just feels so heavy. And I had it where like I think it was when I done Series 7. I competed on a squat bar in wraps on a deadlift bar, and then went 6 weeks later into Worlds for the first time, and it was like, especially like Series 7 was so hyped, and then Worlds was like dead quiet. And it was like, no, none of that crack.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, you need to give yourself time as well to kind of get your squat feeling decent again after. But yeah, it's a lot more
I
pain to go through, isn't it?
yeah, I think with raps, even for like proprioception, like Shane said there, to feel your body in space and time. Like when you have, obviously with raps, you're going to be handling higher loads. So you're going to have that kind of worms to deal with. That like what you might, but like you in some, like if you do click with raps, you could be taking like 10, 15, 20 kilos more than your 1RM in sleeves for like trebles, if not
Yeah.
more. So that like fucking can of worms. That like the pressure, the brace is obviously really important, but the level of pressure you're going to feel in the hole is completely different to what you'll normally feel in sleeves. So you've that element of overload, and then like Shane was saying with the depth, that like you have this like massive build up of pressure from the wrap, obviously from the weight and the hole, and then you go back to sleeves and you're just like, what the fuck is this? I don't feel like I've
You're
any
just falling into the hole, like you're just on your bar and
uh,
just dropping. There's nothing
cla-
there.
collapse like that,
Yeah.
like push, you get that little nice little jolt. It's like driving a car with no turbo. It's just like fucking Jay, where the fuck?
Even I suppose one thing I'm going to be interested in seeing is does the does not only the sticky bone change, but like what becomes the limiting factor now? Uh,
Yeah.
in wraps, because like it's something that's got to change, right? So obviously, if my quads are now X amount stronger because of the artificial usage of the wraps, but my upper back hasn't handled 260, 270 consistently ever. I've never touched those weights. So like, when I start using them over the next couple of weeks, we'll kind of see, all right, where's the upper back strength now? What's the kind of tolerance for that? So that's definitely going to be interesting.
That'd be exciting. I'm
100%.
looking forward to really looking forward to seeing it, Shane. Especially seeing you go peek back on Irish soil.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Swearing. Just need to get you back at nationals now.
Yeah. Oh fuck yeah. I'm sure he might know that he'll be on the right side of the world.
Yeah.
Um
It's only a quick
yeah,
flight for Spain.
what are we out from series? Like 6 weeks, 7 weeks?
And
I
7
think,
weeks?
I think it's more than that.
Oh, it's 9 weeks. Oh fair. Oh yeah, sure, it's the 20th and 21st. I think that's kinda everything we kinda wanted to go over, really, is it?
yeah, we kind of diverted the podcast there away from Keane there towards the end, but
It was just we all just chat the other day, like.
yeah, such is the nature of our structured conversations.
Yeah. I'm guessing you've a long list of questions there, but you didn't get through.
Usually I do have questions. I knew it was just going to be general chat anyway. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Keane, do you want to tell the listeners where you can find you?
Yeah. Well, first off, Thanks so much for having me on, lads. I really appreciate it. It's absolute pleasure to come on, chat with you. First time actually being on a podcast as well, it's a proper podcast, so really appreciate it. I'm really grateful for you having me on. Find me. That's where I usually start around on patrol. Well, you can find me Instagram, Cian Madden, Cian _twice Madden. But that's pretty much it. Like I'm not great on the other Instagram, so don't expect don't expect too much of me. But stay in the channels, keep it chill. But no, that's probably pretty much it. Yeah, thanks a lot for the chat, lads.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on by. Really appreciate it.
All right. Yeah, what a first podcast to be on as well, by the way. So
I know, yeah. Starting at the top, pinnacle, like.
Yeah, remember this for you before break.
I'm
Anyway,
gonna retire my podcasting now.
right. If you did enjoy the podcast, do make sure to give us a rating and review on the podcast platform that you listen on. Give Cian a follow, and be sure to cheer him on when he's on that European platform. Could be cracking the top 5 this time around. All right. Thank you very much.
Be nice.
I'll see you in the next one.